Hey, welcome to Moment of Clarity. In a second, I'm going to get into the top 10 tips to stop this primary election from being stolen by the DNC, by the Clinton machine, and by the Buttigieg campaign. But first, you have to understand that the goal of the DNC, because they're realizing they can't stop the momentum of Bernie Sanders, the goal of the DNC and the former Clinton staffers and the Buttigieg campaign is to just create a shit show out of the process, to make sure that we can't really know who won this one or who won that one. They just want it to be confusing and a melee so that they can then come in and say, hey, we need to go to the superdelegates, the daddies and the mommies of the Democratic Party to tell us who the nominee should be. Tom Perez has already done some of this crap. Like after Iowa, when they created the chaos, he tweeted out, enough is enough. It's time to recount the Iowa votes. Like he's the parent who's gonna fix the problem, which is the primary election. No, the primary election is not the problem. The problem is the chaos that the DNC and the Buttigieg campaign and former Clinton staffers created with their shadow app. Now, I've already done a video on the shadow app proving that it's funded by the Buttigieg campaign. By creating chaos and saying, oh, we don't really know what the real vote was, it achieves a lot of things. It gave Pete Buttigieg 3 days where he could claim victory when he actually lost. But the second thing this achieves is it gives an opening to oligarch Mike Bloomberg, right? Mike Bloomberg can step in and pretend he's the daddy of the situation. He has the money. He knows how to beat Trump. By the way, if you want all the details on how that app was rigged and the people behind it, I'll put the link in the description to this video. And let me just say that you don't have to be for Bernie Sanders to want a legitimate primary election. All right, step one, this is common sense. Vote in large numbers. If you want to have a legitimate election in the primary, to have even shot for an actual progressive to be elected, you have to destroy the percentage that will be stolen. It's just inevitable, all right? They will close polling places. They will purge voters. They will do all kinds of things. They'll create mysterious apps out of the blue and say, hey, everybody use this. They'll do everything they can. So you've got to vote in large numbers to beat what's stolen. Step 2, know your rights. Know whether independents can vote in your primary. Some states they can, some states they can't. Advise others on their rights. As I've been talking about in other videos, you can vote in the Democratic primary if you're not a Democrat in California, but you have to ask for a crossover ballot, and you have to not be signed up for the American Independent Party. So do those two things. Advise other people about this. Speak to people, talk to friends, explain to them their rights in voting in your state. Just grab people off a bench somewhere and say, hey, here's how to vote. Step 3, know whether you need to register early, check whether you're registered, talk to people about whether you need to change your party to be in the no party preference, find out what it is you need to do in your state. Step 4, and I'll say this again and again and again, don't accept provisional ballots. They're horseshit. They're designed to make you believe you might have voted when you didn't, so that you walk away and go, well, I did my best. Step 5, when you notice these shenanigans, when you notice the bullshit, when you notice that your touchscreen machine doesn't give you the Bernie Sanders option or whatever it is that they have rigged up, fucking talk about it, tweet it out, email it to people, send it to alternative media outlets, send it to mainstream media, even though they'll wipe their ass with it. It's individuals like you going out there and saying, I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna see what the reality is, and I'm going to reveal it. Step 6, if you have friends who need to get to vote, help them get there. Fucking carpool, all right? Fit 7 people on one of those clown bikes. Whatever you have to do to get there. Step 7, volunteer. Volunteer to be at the polling places. If you have the time, volunteer to be one of those poll workers, all right? Because that is how we find out about this stuff. That is how the truth comes out. Step 8, there are very few exit polls left, but exit polls reveal fraud. That's what they're designed to do. So if you see exit polls, if you find out about them, pay attention to them. A lot of countries use exit polls to decide whether there's fraud. In many countries, if exit polls are off by just a few percent, then they point to it, they say that election was fraudulent, and they redo the election. In America, they've gotten rid of most of the exit polls because the exit polls were revealing the fraud. We saw it in 2016 in the primaries. The exit polls were way off. Step 9, begin organizing for what you will do if this thing is stolen. Begin planning nonviolent actions and responses to this situation. If we get to the convention and then they steal it just like they did last time and everyone stands around going, ah, shucks, wish that hadn't been like we knew it was gonna be, then you haven't done anything. We're all just standing there like idiots with our thumbs up our asses. And finally, do more than vote. It's beyond voting. Voting should be a tiny part of your life. This system, this rigged, unaccountable, fraudulent system is far more than voting. Start planning the ways to transition our society to one that is sustainable and peaceful and not exploitative. This is just the beginning. Get angry. That's your moment of clarity. If you think this video is important, please share it with people. Click subscribe. Keep fighting.